Little Monsters. It is a US, UK, Australia co-production starring Lupita Nyong'o, who was the star of Us, which you said was spoiled by the trailer.
Scandalous, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I never saw the trailer. I'm glad I didn't. And she was brilliant in Us. It's directed...
Can I just say, before you go on, can you watch the trailer for us this week?
Yeah,
and
okay.
then we can do it without spoilers,
Yeah.
but just say how much of a crashing disappointment is that trailer.
Okay, I'm sure it's online. So written and directed by Abe Forsyth, who made 2016's Down Under, which was a kind of controversial black comedy. So Dave's a washed-up musician who develops a crush on Lupita Nyong'o's kindergarten teacher. In order to get close to her, he offers to volunteer to help on a school trip to a petting zoo. The day goes badly. Turns out that she's engaged, and the star turn there is a kids entertainer called Teddy McGiggle, Josh Gad, and that must be
Teddy
McGiggle, yes.
Really?
But there must be a Wiggles thing there. Anyway, then zombies break out of a testing facility and head for the farm. So it's time to defend kids from the undead in a petting zoo.
David, why are you stopping?
Because the road is blocked. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Well, who remembers how to play tag? Good. Well, those funny-looking people out there are it.
How do I go backwards?
And we don't want to let the funny people touch us. Look, isn't she good at it? I'm going to need you to stick together in a line. So, quick sticks. Ready? Steady. Conga!
Conga?
There we go. The problem with the film for me is that, I mean, for a start, you know from that sort of synopsis that it's sort of quirky indie film played at Sundance. The problem is that beyond that joke about, the attack is happening in a petting zoo, there really isn't much else to entertain. There are a couple of chuckles and the occasional sort of yuck, but not a whole bunch more than that. Interestingly enough, I did the thing about just checking the BBFC website, which said... scenes of strong comic violence, including gory zombie attacks and scenes in which zombies are shot or decapitated. And it's right. And then threat and horror. People, including young children, are menaced by herds of zombies. And then it adds, there is a brief sight of a man using a bong, which pretty much sums up the film itself. It's one of those things in which you think, okay, for a start, this is a very overcrowded market now. We've already had, just recently, Zombieland 2 is currently in cinemas. Dead Don't Die is only recently out of cinemas. The rom-zom-com thing, in which the high watermark, everybody thinks of Shaun of the Dead, although, of course, Return of the Living Dead Part 3 was the natural precursor to that. And then there's been things like Life After Beth with Aubrey Plaza. So, I mean, it's like every single version of this story has been done, and each one has to find their own place in a very overcrowded field. And there is very little in this other than that thing about, and it happens in a petting zoo. I'll see something happens in a petting zoo. I wanted to like it more. I like some of the people involved in it. I think Lupita Nyong'o particularly is, always worth watching. And I just went... all right, fine. It's okay. Couple of chuckles, couple of yucks. Not much more than that.
Because I was thinking, on the basis of like the last 3 movies that she's done, that she could be one of the if Lupita Nyong'o's in it, then it's going to be
great. I mean, she is good in it because she's good in pretty much everything. But I thought it was nothing more than. And funnily enough, when we were talking about Dead Don't Die, the Jim Jarmusch film, again, there was that same feeling of. Okay, yep.
Something tells me we haven't got to the movie of the week.
We haven't yet.